Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 297. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host here, Mike. Mike, are you ready to do our top 5 of the year?
That's it, and that's all, man. Top 5 of the year. I'm ready. Yeah, this is the same time every year we do the top 5s because our opinions are the only ones that matter.
This is the most prestigious awards in all of comics.
And I don't know about you, but when I write names down, I find myself like, man, I feel like this person gets enough recognition. Maybe I should give someone else a shot. So I did change it up a few times.
I had a really hard time this year.
Yeah,
like there were so many good books.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the past, I've been able to like really tone, like it's been kind of heavy hitters. Like, yeah, Donnie, of course, one of my favorite writers, or this person, that person. This year, it's surprising. I think people are gonna be shocked. There's more DC in my list than you might think.
That was another thing. I had about like over 50% DC, and I cut back a little bit. I was like, "There's some other good shit that I read." It was actually a tough decision to make because a lot of stuff did come out. Well, it was coming out in 2022 that you don't realize. So,
I need to do a better job of keeping track throughout the year of what I'm reading.
Yeah,
I do, because I did forget about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because my notes, I do have some notes, people, for when I read comics. I delete it and just start the same Word doc. So I never save any of it. So what I should do is just have a running document, and then I'll know exactly what I read.
I think I'm going to do that next year, because I did that with movies and TV shows I watched this year.
Yeah.
And it really helped. Like, that list went quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But everything else was a little tougher. So I think next year I'm going to try to keep a harder list of things. Yeah.
I even went to Diamond's website and was like, okay, let me see how far I can go with the weeks. It only goes like a month. Even they don't keep track of that shit.
I'll have to send you the website I use. But yeah, you can go back to like 2000 on this one.
That's
I'll
awesome.
show you what came out in what week. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of that.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you want to start with? Which category?
Let's start with I call it the multimedia, but it's really movies and TV, like live action stuff.
Yeah, I just did movies this year. Oh shit! If we could do TV, I might have to change one because I would have to throw Peacemaker in my list somewhere. I'll give a shout out to Peacemaker because that show was awesome.
I think I did real quick before we jump into any list. I want to give shout outs to. I was thinking today about a bunch of stuff. Comixology Originals, banging books this year. Like they were hot this year.
Really good books.
So I wanted to call them out because we don't do publishers, because publishers is too easy.
Yeah, Vault and Scout, man.
Yeah.
IDW stepping it up this year. I mean, yeah, you got Image is almost as big as DC and Marvel in my eyes now. Dark Horse stepping it up, and with Masquerade with Kevin Smith doing crazy stuff. So yeah,
Dark Horse doing some cool stuff with different, trying to get more into the creator-owned business. They did some cool stuff, but I was really thinking back on Comixology, and we've had our criticisms of them this year as they deserved.
Yeah,
but in terms of their publishing line, they hit home run after home run. Great
and I will
stuff.
say, I was bitching about the interface. They actually recently updated it so you can finally like zoom in on panels now when you're reading on a desktop. So, yeah, that made things a little easier for me.
Yeah. But and then, what was my other shout out? I already forgot it. We were going on about stuff, but
creators, writers.
Oh, Kickstarter creators. So we celebrate Kickstarter like almost every week on this show.
Right, yeah.
And I want to say like the Kickstarter books I've been getting this year, awesome.
Great quality.
Really great stuff. And it made me think, as I was putting this together, maybe adding something next year for like the indie community, because we celebrate the indie community every week here, and it feels weird that we don't do something on this show.
Well, I mean, some of those creators and books made it on my list.
Oh, even better. There you go.
Yeah. So
I have a hard time with that, because some, like, I'll use our boy Travis Gibb for instance. Like, I really like the book Expired he did. He put up one issue this year, so I'm like,
yeah. I had Travis made like number 6. He just like, so shout out to Travis and it was for the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland.
Yeah.
And I know he didn't write every issue, but he is the mastermind behind it. So, and that takes quite a big effort. Even though he put one issue of that book out, he put like more issues on Kickstarter, different projects than anybody I've seen this year. So,
he was out of control this year.
Yeah, so good on him, and glad to see he's got a huge following now, and just keep growing it.
So yeah, so next year we'll do that. But right now, let's do movies and TV. So, do you want to start with your number 5?
Yeah, so I did only movies, but I will say if I had to redo that, I would actually add Only Murders in the Building season 2 and probably Peacemaker somewhere as far as TV shows, because those two were awesome. But my number 5 for multimedia movies for me would be Wakanda Forever. I mean, we talked about it recently. There's a lot of weight to the movie. I liked the whole. Honestly, if Namor wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't have given it on my list. But I like the way they did Namor and all that stuff. So really love that movie.
Didn't make my list, but I did love that movie as well. And the way they did Namor in a different way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
My number 5, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh, dude. You know what? I forgot to watch that. You told me to watch that, and I forgot.
So this is a good reminder. I'm not the biggest Chip 'n Dale fan, but what I am a big fan of is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And this is the 2022 version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Maybe more child-friendly, but it was the thing that came out of nowhere that I had no interest in, I didn't want to get into, and I watched and I fell in love with. It's a blast from start to finish. And if you have kids, it's like a great family movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much fun.
I forgot I was going to start that, and I got something interrupted me when I went to start that movie, and I never got around to it.
Yeah, and if anyone remembers, the only reason I did end up watching it is because they included the ugly Sonic in it. Yeah. And I was like, what is this? I have to see what's going on.
I remember that. I remember you telling me that. Number 4 is Bullet Train. That is the wacky kung fu Tarantino style film on a bullet train. Amazing cast, amazing kung fu, and Brad Pitt, and a slew of other people in it. But I don't want to spoil it because it is like a reveal. So
I still need to watch that.
Yeah,
it's on my list. I should say too, before we go forward, I still haven't watched that, but I'm actually going to see Violent Night like tomorrow as we're recording this.
I do want to see that, man.
And I haven't watched Black Adam yet.
Well, that's on HBO, and as we're talking, Bullet Train is on Netflix now.
Yeah, I remember the week you watched it. I think we got off here.
Yeah,
and I went to bed, turned on Netflix, and there it was.
Yep.
My number 4, The Batman.
Nice. You know, it's really funny because when I was, it made my list, but I forgot it came out in 2022, bro. It feels like years ago.
I love the direction of the movie, the character. There's some things about it. I have my critiques of it, but just everything about it, from the dark humor to the grittiness of the character. I like the way they handled Riddler in a different way. And I think Pattinson's a solid Batman that I hope does get meshed into the greater plans of DC moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really good movie.
Yeah, for sure. My number 3, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Speaking of kung fu, I have a genre that I like. This is the A24 flick, and it's got amazing cast. Michelle Yeoh, I think, is the.
This is the time travel one, right?
Yeah. Do you remember? She's the actress that plays Crane Mother in Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. It was like time. It was not really time travel, multiverse.
Oh, that's right, multiverse.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's like it's an indie film style, but with like it almost feels like a bigger movie. But the characters are really cool. The story's insane, and the fighting is amazing. So, yeah.
My number 3, Peacemaker season 1.
Nice. I was hoping just for the intro.
We gushed about Peacemaker left and right every week. That show is just phenomenal from start to finish. Even down to paying off a joke from episode 1 about Aquaman in the final episode when he plays a cameo.
Yeah.
So, cool. And then if anyone didn't know, the soundtrack is also on Spotify, and that is a regular occurrence in my life, is listening to the Peacemaker soundtrack.
Chris is rolling around with his windows down like, do you really want to taste it?
That has happened. 100% that has happened.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That show is so good, man. My number 2 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I know this isn't everybody's favorite. I think I gave it, I don't remember, I might have given this a 10 out of 10. I love this movie because it is a Sam Raimi movie. Like, if you take the context out of it, just the way he does the camera, I mean, just for the fighting with like the musical notes, just for that scene alone, and then for the what was his name, the Pizza Papa, Bruce Campbell, and then Black Bolt blowing his brains out. Like, what the fuck? That movie was insane. You see what I did there? At first I started like Kung Fu with Bullet Train, and then I went to multiverse Kung Fu with Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then I went to like horror multiverse with Multiverse of Madness.
I'm intrigued about what number 1 is.
Yeah.
Pointing out to everybody now, because that is also not on my list. Love that movie too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Mike has all the Marvel movies. I have all the DC movies. Let's just point that out.
Uh-huh.
My number 2 is Orville season 3.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
This is actually kind of all of Orville for me, because I discovered Orville this year, and it's another show I fell in love with. Like, it's so well done. It made me want to go and check out Star Trek, because I know it is based on Star Trek, and it was meant to be a comedy Star Trek, and then evolved into something, in my opinion, greater, into a more serious show with some light tones added in. But it made me want to go and watch Star Trek as somebody who's hated that show his whole life, thought it was boring, and was like, oh, well, if this is what it is, I should go check out the source now. But Orville itself is just a really brilliant show. Hits really great social, political things throughout our lives, and just great sci-fi, great storytelling. Absolutely loved it. Can't recommend it enough to anybody.
Yeah, nice. You're making me want to watch The Next Generation now again. So
honestly, that's what I want to jump into.
Yeah, you should. I've rewatched that. I don't rewatch shows very much, but that's one I can, because it is amazing.
I've heard, because of my tastes and my thoughts of the world, that Next Generation would, as an adult, I would appreciate it more because of some of the stuff they get into. Yeah,
I agree with that. Yep, for sure, you would love it. Okay, my number 1 multimedia is The Batman. No surprise there. Kind of everything Chris said. I love Robert Pattinson. Some of those fight scenes were awesome. I think Matt Reeves is just a amazing director. And the first time that you've actually seen Gotham as a character on the big screen, that felt like Gotham to me. So, well, to be fair, animated series had Gotham, I think, the best rendition to Gotham, and this was as close as you can get to a big screen. So, that was my number 1.
But to do that in live action was impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
My number 1 was Star Wars Andor season 1,
which I have not watched yet. Still have to watch that.
I understand the people that fell off it. It starts off very slow. It's a slow build. It's a Star Wars show with 0 lightsabers. So I understand where people come from. But for me, it was something different inside the Star Wars universe. It was in a familiar time frame, building up the rebellion. It gave us a character we knew from Rogue One. And just the different parts of the machine, the Empire machine that we saw throughout this, and why Andor grows to hate the Empire was amazing world building for a world that we're so entrenched in. I thought, the acting's phenomenal in it. I mean, Andy Serkis plays a role for like 3 episodes in it.
Love Andy Serkis.
It's a great show, and I think if you have the patience to stick through, if you think the first like quarter of the show is slow, if you can stick through that, I think the payoff is well worth it.
It's funny you mentioned that lightsaber thing, because one of my colleagues from Germany, Andor came up when I met with him, and he started saying that, I've never actually heard somebody refer to lightsabers as laser swords, but it must be just like the translation. And he was like, the show did not have, why were there no laser swords? And at first I thought he was like making a joke, and I was like, oh shit, like they actually call them laser swords. That's amazing.
It's funny because that's the criticism I hear of it, is people who have kind of fallen off Star Wars have that question of what is Star Wars nowadays.
Right.
And then some people are like, well, lightsabers. Like, lightsabers are the Force. That's Star Wars. I'm like, not really. Like,
no.
Star Wars is a sci-fi universe that is basically 1940s Germany in space.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
What do you want to do next? Artist, writer?
Let's do the writers first.
Okay. So, writers. My number 5 was Mike Morecci for Barbaric Axe to Grind, because Barbaric came out again this year. That bastard got me with another series. Love that book, love that character. So,
my number 5 was Jed MacKay.
Nice, doing a lot this year.
Yeah, I'm not reading everything Jed's doing. Black Cat's not my thing, and his Doctor Strange stuff I'd never checked out. But Moon Knight has been phenomenal.
Yep.
When I interviewed him 2 years ago, it's everything he told me it was going to be. There is some of the split personality stuff in there, but he doesn't go wacky with it. He really takes it seriously and gives it like meaning to the character. So I really love that. And then I fell behind for a while, but then jumped back into Magic the Gathering, and I just love that world, that book. Yeah. He's doing a lot of cool things with characters I'm familiar with, even if it's a game I'm like kind of out of right now. But yeah, really love that.
That book is really good. He did Avengers Mech Assault or whatever. What was it, last year? But yeah, Jed is awesome. I gotta pick up that. I gotta catch up on Magic. Writer number 2, Joseph Oliveira. So this is my Kickstarter creator. He has actually his own publisher that he started. I can't remember the name right now, but he's published 4 to 5 horror comics just this year through Kickstarter. He's got the Moth Hill book, which is a Mothman book. There's a Wendigo book. There's one about these people that are in a safe house that's they're put there on the run from. He's just got a lot of good horror. I like the art team that he teams up with, and it's the kind of horror that I'm missing in like all of the. If I had to like describe it, it's almost like the Hill House imprint at DC that we don't see anymore for some reason, and that's kind of what I'm missing.
That did just kind of disappear, didn't it?
Yeah, nobody ever talks about it. I talk about it. I remember.
My number 4 is Jason Aaron.
Nice.
This is strictly for Avengers. I have really loved this so far. This conclusion to the Avengers multiverse saga. It's going to end next year, but we're kind of in the third act of his run, and just from the regular Avengers book being this cool action book to the Avengers Forever book to being this like awesome multiverse book where we're jumping from world to world and seeing different versions of different characters and getting like one-shot stories about them. It's just been a phenomenal run on Avengers, and it's bittersweet that it's ending soon. But yeah, Jason Aaron.
Yeah, I need to read his Avengers run. My number 3 is Mr. Zach Kaplan, Forever Forward, Mindset, and his new book, Breakout. I have not checked out yet, but was loving Forever Forward, Mindset this year. Just the things he writes are they're usually solid stories. They're almost like thought experiments. Usually a little on the sci-fi edge, so I'm always a fan of that. Especially time travel. I'm a huge fan of that. So I don't get enough time travel books.
I just realized all 5 of mine are big too. But my number 3...
It's all right. I got it for you. I'm picking up the slack.
Number 3, and very much well-deserved this year, is Joshua Williamson.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Dude, Justice League Incarnate, I had to pull it up because I can't remember them all, but Justice League Incarnate, Infinite Frontier was this year. He did the Robin book. He's in the middle of Dark Crisis. He could falter that. I've got it upstairs. I don't know. But so far, it's been really good.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the list goes on. He did that Justice League. No, that was 2017. He finished up his Batman run, which I didn't read, but I know you enjoyed.
Yep, it was good.
Like, the dude's just been all over DC this year.
Yeah, and he's hitting his strides and hasn't really slowed down with the quality of the books either. I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, and going into next year, he'll be doing Superman. So I just think he's found this home at DC where he's doing so much.
Yeah,
but it's all good. Like,
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, so definitely well deserved one there.
My number 2. I almost forgot about this book, and it popped into my head. Brian Shermer for Questicide.
Oh yeah,
yeah. See, almost forgot that book was this year. I think it was through Vault Comics, or was it Scout? Okay, Vault. Yeah. Huge D&D fans. I tried to pick other genres and not just stick to DC, which is funny that Chris has got so much DC because I agree with him about all his books. But Questicide was a lot of fun. Huge D&D fan. I like fantasy worlds with there's a little character building, some interesting characters, some tongue-in-cheek humor, that type of stuff. Huge fan of that.
My number 2 is actually 2 people, but there's a reason for it.
Oh, I know it.
It's Jackson Lanzing and Colin Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hive mind themselves.
Yeah, the 2 minds into one. Yeah.
So, I mean, Batman Beyond Neo Year was this year. I really loved their reinterpretation of Batman and what they did. The Kang the Conqueror book they did was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Kang, so I'm just so happy that Kang's getting love again in this world. Aquaman and Flash Void Song wasn't my favorite, but still really enjoyable 3-issue series. And then they're on Captain America with Steve. And I just think that they've got the voice down really well. I love the supporting cast, bringing back Sharon Carter, not only as a badass on her own, but somebody who really improves Steve as a man. Everything in that book has just been on point for me, what I want out of Cap. So
awesome.
Those 2 have had a great year.
Yeah, I was trying to put them on the list. It was either them or this guy. So my number 1 is Gene Luen Yang for more specifically for Monkey Prince. What a crazy book that's been this year. Gene's been a quality good writer for years. I think this book, hopefully it's as popular as I think it is. I know we're loving it, to take a new character like this and just find its sweet spot of where it can be, and the whole thing about his family being villains and stuff like that. I think it's just awesome. It's been such a great book this year.
So I'll talk more about Monkey Prince later. But I was thinking about putting him in my list, and I was like, was that Batman Superman thing this year? It was 2 or 3 years ago that he did that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I love that book. And I went and bought the trade, so now it's on my way.
Nice.
My number 1 is the man, the legend, Chip Zdarsky.
There he is. Yep.
we can start with the Batman run. It's
Yeah.
5 issues in, but I thought that first story arc was really well done.
Yep. I agree.
His Daredevil, and I'm going to include Devil's Reign in this because that book is really an extension of Daredevil, has been phenomenal. I love Daredevil character. Once again, another creator who really seems to understand the characters he's writing and what makes them special, and not really trying to push himself into the character, but push the character into great like stories. And then some of his indie stuff he did this year, like the All-Nighter that I absolutely love, New Burn, which is a really great book, and Public Domain, which is just a special book about creating comics. So
yep.
Yeah, the dude's been on fire. And that, I mean, we're not even including Batman the Knight after.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much stuff he did this year, and it's all really good.
Yeah, the Knight was good.
I'm such a huge Zdarsky fan. And I'll even throw out there, like, if you go on his YouTube channel, he makes these hilarious YouTube videos about making comics.
Mm-hmm.
They're like 3 to 5 minutes long, and they're just phenomenal. Like, he does a chip masterclass.
Yeah.
That's just making fun of master classes. And it's some of the best content you can get. So
that's amazing.
Love me some Chip.
Yeah, my and if I didn't change my list, it would have been really similar to yours. So I'm kind of glad because I know you were reading a lot of the books that I was gonna list on here. All right, we're gonna get into artists.
Yeah, let's do it.
Number 5, Juan Gedeon. He was the artist on Jurassic League this year. If you draw superheroes, DC, more specifically DC heroes as dinosaurs, you get an award in my book. Love that book mostly because of the art.
I tried really hard to get that book somewhere on one of these lists.
Yeah,
but I could not do it.
Oh my god.
My number 5, sticking with Daredevil, is Marco Cinchetto.
Oh yeah.
I've said it. I think I've said it the past 2 or 3 years. Cinchetto is the artist I want on Daredevil for the rest of my life. He's so good. He fits the character so well, and that's actually something that will come up again with a later artist, where I think Marvel in particular has done a phenomenal job of putting the right artist on the right book. And Cinchetto was kind of the first one in that lineage of he's the perfect artist for that character. So
nice. Yeah. Speaking of perfect artists for characters, my number 4 is Nathan Gooden for Barbaric, because that art combined with that story just goes so well together.
Yeah.
Really, you can nail it on the head even more. But yeah, this is exactly how I feel. It's jagged, it's metal as fuck, and it works with a barbarian book.
100% agree.
Yep.
Number 4 is Dustin Nguyen. This is the artist doing Little Monsters.
Nice. Yeah.
Really fun book. Jeff Lemire writing it. Obviously, you get me at vampires. I love me some vampires, but just not only the horror aspect of it that he adds into it, but the fact that it's little kids. And that's a whole different dynamic as opposed to like adult vampires attacking each other.
Yeah.
And I think he does the coloring as well. I could be wrong, but this is a black and white book, and how they implement the color to the book when one of the characters likes to draw on the different buildings in the city, and those drawings will all be in color, stuff like that. Like, it's just aesthetically, the book is amazing. The story is really good too, but the art just stands out in that one.
Awesome. My number 3 is Mr. Jeff Darrow, or is it Jeff? But either way, he's drawn on some other stuff this year, but more importantly for Shaolin Cowboy. While I know there are some parts of the story that I didn't care for, as far as like the like B-side and the stuff they're like talking about in the post-apocalyptic world, the art is amazing. I mean, that's why you really read that story. There's not a whole lot of dialogue anyways. It's mostly how the art flows, and it's like a kung fu movie. So, and I think he draws it perfectly.
Which I feel like it's got to be a really hard thing to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. To keep people interested and like move those panels along like he does, it's just awesome.
Yeah. My number 3 is Alessandro Cappuccio. I believe I'm saying that right.
Sounds right to me.
This is the artist for Moon Knight. Sticking with what I said about Checchetto, just the perfect artist for the perfect book. It feels similar to a Batman book in the art, as a Moon Knight book should. And I like the almost, it's not, so the art isn't as dark as a Batman book is, but the flow of the book and the fight scenes are like a Batman book, while still having this almost anime manga style to it. It's very weird and unique, and it really works with Moon Knight.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. My number 2, Shaky Kane, for Weird Work. That was a Kickstarter project that came out a few issues this year. And more importantly, the colors are done by Jason Wordie. The art for it's a sci-fi book, but it's the style of the art. It feels like 19. It's like, I don't know, the way the characters are drawn, I would almost call it like, Perez in his prime kind of style, where everybody is very perfectly outlined. There's enough detail, but it's that and like a wacky, crazy colored sci-fi adventure. So the book's a lot of fun. 3rd issue just came out from Kickstarter, and the art is really cool.
Awesome. Number 2, Francis Manapul.
Oh yeah,
this is for Clear.
Yep. I forgot about that book.
Yeah.
Good.
I pulled that one out of my ass. I'm not going. At the last second, I was like, I need to involve Clear somewhere in this, because I love that book.
That was this year, huh? Damn.
That's the Scott Snyder Blade Runner meets Ready Player One.
Yeah, pretty much. Book. Yeah, you nailed that. You should write those for Diamond, dude. Yeah.
It's the book from top to bottom was a blast. I love the world. I love the story about this man who lost his wife and everything. But what really sets that book apart, and what really makes that book flow so well, is the art. And Francis having to jump between different scenery with the visors and what people are seeing of the world, and making that make sense is like, it's like performing a magic trick.
Yeah.
And I think that book's coming out in print soon. So if you're a print only person, or you're an anti-comicsology person, like, that's one. Dark Horse is publishing it. Check it out. I really, really love that book.
Nice. My number 1 artist is Leanna Kangas. I think she made it last year too. We love her art. She does amazing alternate covers, and they go for hundreds of dollars because you can't find those variants anywhere. But more importantly, her book True Cult came out this year with IDW. It wasn't originally a Kickstarter, but her art is just great. There's no other way to put it. And usually it's combined with a lot of like purples and blues and amazing colors, and it really makes her art pop out. But there's a reason that everybody wants her to do a variant. So I'm sure she's in high demand. Her artwork is fantastic. So
it doesn't hurt. Pretty good person too.
Yeah, pretty awesome person. Yep.
My number 1 was Nick Klein. This is Thor, everybody. So
yeah,
I got to repeat myself. The perfect artist for the perfect book. I mean, the dude has. I remember when Donnie first talked about this book, and he said, everybody always says that when you were reading Thor, you should hear Led Zeppelin in your head. When you read my Thor, I want you to hear black metal. And I think that Nick Klein's art makes that possible. Yep. The way he draws everybody, the atmosphere of the book, it feels like a Viking story. Even though we're in the middle of space and we're dealing with Thanos and we're, all this shit. The dude's just incredible, and that book has been really great. Even in this most recent issue where Donnie wasn't involved, but Nick was, it still had that feel that it flowed with the rest of the series. So, Nick Klein.
Awesome. All right, let's get into the comic series, huh?
Let's do it.
My number 5.
Any like honorable mentions for comics?
I had to bump Jurassic League off the list, but definitely Jurassic League, and along the same lines, like Power Rangers Godzilla crossover, because I never thought that would have happened, by Cullen Bunn. Maybe Radiant Black, because that book's still ongoing and getting more interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Radiant Black, Magic.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Jurassic League.
Yeah.
And some of the I didn't really like the DC mech book, and actually even the Marvel mech book wasn't that great this year. But there was so many good books this year. So top 5 was tough.
Yep. Very tough.
It's not all big two, but it's a lot of big two.
Yeah, it is. My number 5 is Monkey Prince. I talked about it. New character, new interactions with big DC heroes, and the latest issue is one of my favorite issues. So I think it's really cool, and I can see him fitting in. It's hard for me to like see new characters fitting in to a role like within the DC universe, but that's something we needed, was a character like him, and it's been great.
I'm really excited for him to be in Lazar Planet, because I want to see him mesh more with a different writer as well, to see him mesh with like all these other characters.
I feel like he's almost like a Spider-Man in the universe.
That's a great comp. Yeah.
Yeah. He's almost like, because people have always tried to take like Damian and make him Spider-Man, but you can't have this dude whose mother is like the daughter of a warlord and make him like have that heritage and still be like a happy-go-lucky guy.
It's funny you say that. I was reading an article recently about DC, when DC has attempted to recreate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And like the most recent one was Sideways. I don't know if you remember Sideways.
I remember Sideways, yeah.
He was actually in Dark Crisis recently.
Yeah.
But like that was one of them. And you saying that, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Like he is. Yeah. He is. He's got that quippiness to him and everything.
Yep.
Number 5 was Damage Control.
Oh, nice.
A fun kind of comedy book from Marvel. I love the ending. The last issue ends with a surprise of who Gus is as a character. So Gus is the character that we follow through, who's trying to find his place in Damage Control, and we don't really know why. Like, we assume he's the son of somebody, and that's why they're trying to force him into a role, even though he's to be frank, a fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And then what it ends up being is really clever and fun. But throughout the book, it's just these great. It's like it's just great comedic moments where he's just finding ways in these terrible situations and trying to get out. And yeah, it's just it's that fun I always talk about. It's something different from the grim and dark stuff that we always read. So I really, really enjoyed that one.
Awesome. My number 4 was Batman Beyond Neo Year.
I'm going to jump in here. My number 4 is Batman Beyond Neo Year.
Wow, what a surprise! Yeah, dude, that book was a lot of fun. We talked about Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig. I think the book, to do a new, refreshing twist on Batman Beyond. We interviewed him beforehand. They hyped us up. It lived up to the hype. It was a great book for sure.
As someone who's a huge Batman Beyond fan, I was actually worried after the interview, because the idea of doing Batman Beyond without Bruce,
it's crazy.
Just in my head prior to this book, it doesn't work. Like, That's not what Batman Beyond is.
Right.
And for them to do it and to succeed at it and make Terry a better character leaving the book than when he entered the book, is really what comics are all about. And it made me happy, because I know moving forward, it feels like we're getting another Batman Beyond book, hopefully from those two.
I hope so.
And it was a very, very pleasant surprise this year to get that book.
Yeah. My number 3, Questicide. Like I said, fun fantasy book. There was great art. You don't get enough fantasy right now. It seems to come in waves. After Birthright left, we really have nothing too crazy besides like Barbaric. But it was a fun book. Hopefully, we get to see some more. I know it was like the first volume. I'd love to see more of it. So,
my number 3 is Monkey Prince.
Nice.
Everything Mike said, but I love the character and the mythology. I was actually looking up throughout the year. Journey to the West is a novel I've wanted to read for a while because it's one of those seminal novels just in culture.
Yep.
And so many things I love are derived from that. Biggest being Dragon Ball Z. And now to have this character in DC derived from that as well, it just works, and I really loved it. And like you said, I love the comp for Spider-Man. It's exactly what that book is.
Yep. Hands down. Now, my number 2 is 8 Billion Genies. Chris actually got me into this book. I think they're on volume 2 now. Not a whole lot of Image on the list. I don't think this might have been the only Image book that's hit the list so far. But it's been a lot of fun. I think it's been a wild ride, and where they keep taking it, I don't expect it because it's like 8 months later, 8 years later, 8 decades later. Like, you don't see a book doing that unless it's like Tom King and he wants you to flip around pages. But this book has been a lot of fun. I think the characters are great. I think the whole wishing thing and the complications of it is an interesting take, and I look forward to seeing where it goes.
Great team up. You read Curse Words as well, right?
Yes. Yep. Curse Words is so good.
Those two together are just magic.
Yeah.
My number 2 is All Nighter.
Nice.
Chip Zdarsky.
Yep.
I mean, it makes vampires and superheroes.
What else could you want? Yeah. Yep.
But I love the story. I love the kind of the twist of for anybody that's read Fables, it's a similar world to that where like these creatures are made real by us believing in them or whatever. But the fact that the vampires of the world become superheroes and start doing these things, and then they have to fight against another cult of vampires, and we get Frankenstein in the book, and all these it's just a blast of a book, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I love that series too. And my number 1 was the Dragonfly Man one-shots from all the various creators. Completely almost forgot about that. This came out this year. From the likes of like Mark Waid, Tom Payer obviously did one.
Gail Simone.
Mark
Russell did one.
Mark Russell, yeah. So that was just, I love that character. I love that series. I hope they stick with it. That is always going to be my favorite book series coming out. I think. I mean, it's 60s Batman meets the Dark Knight. So like, it's like a dream come true for me. So
I got my the trade.
Yeah.
Next in line is because I think I read like the first issue of Wrong Earth. And then for some, I don't know what it's not that I didn't like it. It's just, it just fell off.
Right.
And now I want to go and get the trades of all of those and read through it because it should be my favorite book.
It should. Yeah, it should be. Yep.
But my number 1 is DC versus Vampires.
Hell yeah. I had a feeling.
I actually had a tough time putting it up there because issue number 12 comes out next week. Or as you're listening to this, everybody, it's coming out today.
Yeah.
And I think Blue Flame scared me.
Yeah, you got burned once. Yep.
But I can't deny, even the side book, All Out War, is a lot of fun. It's just, once again, it's superheroes and vampires. Of course, that screams me. But the first 6 issues were some of the best comics we've gotten from any publisher in a long time, let alone DC. Yeah. And even as we're getting into the last 6, it's just been really good. My only like complaint about it is I think we had a little bit of a break in between 6 and 7.
Breaks things up, yeah.
Which has been a DC thing that I've been complaining about for a little while, but it's just so good. Yeah, from the art to the writing to everything about it, that world is so great, and it's not one of those books. It's bittersweet. It's going to end soon, but what a ride it's been.
Yeah, it's been really cool. But yeah, that's it, folks.
That's it. So that's the top 5 for everything. So everybody enjoy your rewards. We'll definitely be mailing them out in the mail soon.
Yeah, you'll get them soon. Yep.
But yeah, so what a great year for comics.
Very good year.
Great year for the show. So everybody, thanks Mike for the past year. It's been a blast, and we're right around the corner from episode 300, so I'm really excited for that.
300 is coming up. Thanks, Chris, for all the amazing work he's done. And also, I mean, look at him. He looks amazing. He lost all that weight. Everybody give him a round of applause for that. Sticking to that and keeping this amazing show running. And getting us some amazing sponsors. Yeah, I think it's been a great year for us, and looking forward to next year. So happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody. So look forward to next year. Look forward to next week, because we're not missing a week, everybody.
No, we don't. No weeks off.
But everybody strap in, because we got 2 weeks of news and 2 weeks of comics to talk about. So I'm sure that episode's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, everybody, thank you so much for listening. And, Mike, for the last time in 2022, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Hopefully that stays that way in 2023. Where can they find you, Ed, or the show?
You can find me on pretty much all social media, including Twitter, at Fortress Chris. You can find the show at FortressComics _ on Twitter. Also at the brand new website, FortressComicNews.com.
Yeah.
Thank you for that as well. What a great job. I'm zoning Quinn on her name, Devin. I kept wanting to say Dustin for some reason, but I knew it was a woman that did it.
Yeah. Devin-Quinn.com. Check it out, folks.
Yeah, so everybody go check out Devin. That was a really amazing job. So yeah, FortressComicNews.com. And if you want to go the extra mile to help support the show, the 2 ways to do it. The free way is to give us a review on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or whatever podcatcher you use, and just to like, subscribe, share, comment down below on the YouTube version of the show. And if you have money you're willing to give up, we have the Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics, and also the affiliate links in the show notes down below. So everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening this week, and we will see you all here next year.
See ya.